Episode 2, The Weight of Waiting. Some days carry their own quiet mercy. On one such afternoon, she did not return home after work. Instead, she walked into a long, open park where the noise of obligation softened. There was a small hut at its center, shaded and still, holding the warmth of winter sunlight. She sat there with her papers, checking scripts, outlining lessons, letting the sun rest gently on her skin. Birds moved freely above her, unconcerned, unhurried. For a moment, the world did not demand her explanation. Psychology calls this self-regulation, the instinct to find spaces where the nervous system can breathe when life offers no such permission. She was absorbed in her work when voices approached, not intrusive but alive. A Pashtun family had settled nearby, women, girls, a small child, spreading lunch on cloth, sharing food and laughter. She did not look at them closely. She had learned not to intrude on others' warmth. But warmth sometimes comes to you. The eldest woman stood, walked toward her, and greeted her with salam. In her hands was a plate of chicken pulao, offered without question, without condition. "Come eat with us," she said, as if this kindness needed no justification. She accepted only a little, she had already eaten, but the gesture fed something deeper. In philosophy, this is called ethical presence. Care offered not because it is owed, but because another human stands before you. She noticed the child then, small, radiant, a baby boy Yusuf. The mother's name, Hajra. Names familiar, names belonging to her own family history. The coincidence felt gentle, like memory brushing against the present. For a moment, the world reminded her that belonging can exist without asking. That day ended quietly. It felt whole. The next morning did not. She arrived at her institute believing she was on time, as she had been before. But time, she learned, shifts rules without warning. Eyes turned. A clock was raised like an accusation. Apologies were offered, explanations given, yet confusion remained her burden alone. She was told where to sit, where not to sit, how to work, even when the noise made concentration impossible. And still, she complied. Sociology names this subservient compliance, when professionalism is demanded without providing the conditions to practice it. She wondered, not for the first time, how education had grown careless of its own responsibility. Teachers distracted. Effort delegated downward. Students left to fend for themselves, while authority maintained appearance instead of care. Duty, she realized, had replaced devotion. And then there was the other absence, the one that hurt more quietly. Months had passed without footsteps at her door. No visits, no shared space. Only voices through screens, promises softened by habit. Attachment lived in words, not in presence. When she tried to name her hurt, it returned to her as misunderstanding. Tone was denied, sarcasm disowned, laughter explained away. Psychology calls this emotional invalidation, not cruelty, but the erosion of trust when feeling is consistently dismissed. She wanted closeness, not conflict, understanding, not defense. But silence followed. One night she cried alone, her sister's comfort unable to reach the ache that lived beneath explanation. She slept with longing still awake. Another day she called and was asked to wait. She waited. Waiting, philosophers have said, is not neutral. It shapes the soul. When she was later told that she had failed to ask, she understood something essential. Care unexpressed becomes accusation, and unmet presence turns love into distance. Fies once wrote of voices held back, of words swallowed by circumstance. She felt that truth deeply now, yet she was not breaking. She was seeing. Between duty and dignity, she was learning the cost of silence, and the price of waiting too long for someone else to arrive. This was not rebellion, it was recognition, and recognition, she sensed, was the beginning of standing.